in play. So what does the game plan look like? Make a recording, transcribe the recording, and this can come from a CEO, a senior executive, it can be the voice of the company. Make variants. It can be 3 or 4 different variants and cut and edit and so on. Multi-channel release. It can go through videos, press release, social, bookmark it, and times that by 50. So you've got a piece of information. It's gone out through multiple channels. It's on multiple social networks, and you're doing it every 5, 10, 15, 30 minutes every hour. Continue to do that, and you will get to the point where you need or want to be. This is what everyone else is doing to you. This is essentially what a community looks like. They make their content. It goes out through 50 different people who then have 50 different friends who then all do it 50 different times. This is why the masses will always overpower the individual if you don't do this right. Now, this is what the pros do. This is a bit of an insight into how professionals. This is from the perspective of those that are in the security, crisis, emergency, and even marketing space, is that a lot of people don't understand is that a lot of this can be outsourced. Using outsourced teams through Freelancer, vWorker, Odesk, 123 Employee, Guru.com, remote staff, is that they can quickly mobilize their own outsourced community. They all have a piece of the puzzle, they all have a task to implement, and a lot of these things can simply be push-button activation through outsourced teams. They use tools and systems through trend spotting. Traffic Travis is another one like Market Samurai, where you can identify where your websites rank, what's trending, what's popular, where the backlinks and everything are originating from. Some of these tools cost a couple of dollars, some of them are free. Market Samurai is also another good one. Google Analytics is free. Submission tools. This is about getting published in every variant, using Twitter, video, blogs, news and websites. You can do all of these through single channel, single submission tools. These are the linking pyramids that take place. These are the multi-level through bloggers, Squidoos, Tumblrs, WordPress, Quizilla. The names and so on change on a regular basis, but it's never just about one distribution channel. It's multiple channels over and over and cross-referencing and linking. It's replicating viral effects. It's replicating the content distribution, and you need to be able to do that as well. Use of backlinks, high page rank sites, volume, targeted forums. The English and maths that I've been harping on about is what this comes back to. So here's a bit of a case example on how things work. Now, this has come from Simplify. This was published on SlideShare. How Qantas dealt with the 48-hour shutdown and the A380 mid-air engine failure. So as you can see here, as we've spoken about the analytics, you can see a breakout trend. You can see that this is starting to become a concern. You can see that it's becoming popular. You can see the duration of this particular event. There are 1,000 tweets per minute just on this particular subject. Those who were in charge of the response were not necessarily the ones responsible for the crisis. Now, this is something that we've all heard and we've all experienced firsthand, is that this is a downstream issue for many people who now have to deal with the front end of the customer. However, the decision was made somewhere else. It was a sympathetic result on the rest of the business, and you have to deal with it. During the recent fleet groundings, during the recent Qantas fleet grounding, there was one full-time employee to broadcast messages. There are now 4 full-time employees. So as you can see in this instance and many others, that simply ill-prepared, and there's still only 4. I would question exactly how that's going to work out moving forward. But 4, that's probably 4 more than many other organisations. It's probably 1,000 times more than many other organisations. Too many companies think that it needs to be headcounts, that it needs to be high-end technical or all of it outsourced, partial. Most people, quite honestly, just don't understand it. So they've buried their head in the sands and they just don't get it. Now, the result of this particular event cost tens, hundreds of millions of dollars as a result. So again, it's a very powerful motivator in terms of how your brand is viewed, how you communicate, who's talking about you, and even how you share information. One of the biggest criticisms during this particular case example is that there was just no information, good, bad, or otherwise. So in the absence of truth, some people will fabricate it. They will punish the brand. They will punish those that made the decision. But it's an opportunity where there's a vacuum, people will communicate. And if they've got no other means, then there will be YouTube videos and there'll be tweets and a whole bunch of other things. So again, this comes back to that offensive strategy in terms of communication and pushing it out. You can waylay a lot of these processes, you can waylay concerns and certainly misinformation by an effective plan and strategy. So I've touched on a lot of issues. As I said before, just refamiliarizing yourself with who I am and my background. I've covered quite a lot of questions as we've gone through the chat. I've endeavoured to identify and isolate a number of those, particularly when it came to the tools and the management and the implementation. And I know there's quite a lot here that we just haven't got to, and we will follow up on some of those at the completion of this and over the course of the next day or so. But just to recap, this is an awareness process for social media, business intelligence, application, with the use of social media technologies. Now, I've touched on many examples and situations where crisis, security, travel and emergency can benefit from these particular systems, but by no means have they been exhaustive. So I know we haven't turned over every stone, but there's still quite a lot of information here that can be immediately applied for pretty much any organisation. Now, this is one of a series of webinars that we're holding. You may have attended some of the others, and we certainly have more coming up, and we'll dive into some of the more tools and strategies and concepts and execution as we move forward. But if there's any further questions, if there's any further input or comments, or good, bad or otherwise, we'd love to hear from you. Please feel free. But as was promised, this has been an action-packed session. We've covered quite a lot of information, but that's all for now. Once again, thank you all very much for attending, and thanks very much, and goodbye.